Hi, this is Dr. Gilbaugh from Gracie May Advocate Center. Today we're going to talk about self-regulation. When we get emotionally distressed, our body sends signals to our brain that tells us that we should feel anxious or sometimes panicked. Today we're going to talk about how to handle those situations. First of all, I'm going to explain to you what's happening in your brain, so if you understand it, maybe you can control it better. I like to think that anxiety and the need for self-regulation is sort of like a servant and a master relationship. You can either be the master or you can be the servant, but you can't be both at the same time. So let's start talking about the brain first. With the brain, everything that we experience emotionally happens through our senses. This is important to understand because trauma, and specifically, processes through our sights and sounds and smells. And so we self-regulate better when we have things like aromatherapy. We also have the ability to see things and connect that to our emotions because our sight and our vision go directly from our emotional center into the back of our brain where vision processes. This is why we tend to believe things that we see, but it also, our sight, we remember things better because it's associated with our emotions. And finally, when we're upset or distressed, we tend to go into the lower part of our brain. And in that lower part of our brain, we call it the downstairs brain, and that's where instincts take over. Those are behaviors that are similar to fight, flight, freeze, or shut down. And when you're in that downstairs part of your brain, it's really hard to think about things rationally or logically. So we want to get above the emotional center, and we call that our upstairs brain. The higher up you can get into your upstairs brain, the more logical, the more rational you can be. So when we self-regulate, we can get higher up into our brain and engage the organized thinking and the critical problem-solving parts of our brain. Now that we know what's happening, I want to share with you 2 strategies that help you go from your downstairs brain into your upstairs brain. The first one is what I call 4x4 breathing. It's a very simple strategy. You breathe in for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you do that 4 times. Very simple. So it's just a simple breath, like now me personally, I like to breathe like breathing in as deep as I can and breathing out as if I'm breathing through my toes. And when I do that, I feel all of the muscles up here relaxing and releasing and pushing my diaphragm and all of the air out, and it gives me a sense of overall calmness and relaxation. So try it yourself. See if that works for you. Breathing is the #1 strategy for self-regulating. The reason that is because the breathing gives you oxygen to your brain. The more oxygen you have, the calmer you feel. So it's very simple. The reason we want to do that 4 times though is because it takes your heart 11 beats to get the oxygen that your brain needs from your lungs up to your thinking area. And so if we can do the 4 breaths together, and you can breathe in, breathe out, and do it 4 times. And that will help you relax and self-regulate. There's no drug that works as well as just simple breathing. The second strategy that we can talk about is what I call 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a grounding exercise. It helps our brain recognize where we are in time and space around us, and it helps us figure out that we are grounded or centered so that we don't have to feel like we're afraid or that we have to run away or we have to fight. So it shuts down those instincts in the downstairs brain. So the first way that you do this is you think about 5 things that you can see. So you look around and you name 5 things that you can see. The 4 is 4 things that you can physically feel. Maybe it's the floor under your feet. Maybe it's the chair that you're sitting on, the clothes and how they touch your knees. However you want to describe or think about the 4 things that you physically can feel. These are not emotional feelings, these are physical feelings. 3 in the 5, 4, 3 are 3 things that you can hear. That's a little tricky because sometimes it seems like there's not a lot of noise going on, but if you can be quiet and really listen, it's amazing how many different sounds you can hear. Two things that you can smell. That might also be tricky, but if you think really hard, I bet you'll think of at least 2 things that you can smell. And then finally, 1, name the taste in your mouth. Maybe it's the drink of water or coffee that you just had, or maybe it's the pizza you had for lunch, or maybe it's nothing at all. Maybe you just have a dry mouth and that's what your mouth tastes like. But name it anyway. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 engages all of our senses. And we already know that self-regulation happens through the emotional center. And so if you can think about and engage your brain in a way that helps you regulate yourself, you're much less likely to feel anxious or panicked. That's all we have for today, and I hope that you found this helpful.